The universe always keeps score, even when people think no one's watching. You see, every throne someone tried to throw in your path was just a mirror thrown at the sky, and now it's crashing back down on them. That's the balance. That's the cosmic law. When someone moves with dirty hands and a jealous heart, life responds in whispers first, then storms. To the ones who tried to block you, to twist your name, to paint you as something lesser, the same paint they used now stains their own hands. It's ironic, isn't it? They threw shadows at you, but the sun chose to rise behind you, and now they have to squint to even look your way. What they hoped would destroy you became the exact fire that sharpened your form. The universe isn't punishing them, it's simply correcting the imbalance. And you, chosen one, your power isn't just seen, it's felt. Your presence has become a haunting for those who thought they could contain you. They fear you, not because you're loud, but because your silence rearranges their reality. You didn't have to strike. So take a second now, like this message and subscribe, because this energy, it's growing. And if you're part of the chosen, you know it. Drop 999 in the comments so this message finds every soul that's felt the fire and kept walking. Because the storm didn't break you, it crowned you. This isn't just life throwing random chaos at you. This is the weight of being chosen. Only those who carry this mark will recognize the patterns, feel the attacks, and still rise with purpose. If this resonates in your spirit, stay with us until the end, because what's coming next, only the chosen will truly understand. Number 1. Never dim your energy to fit in. That's why the room turns cold without you. They didn't fall because you pushed them. They collapsed because truth has a gravity they were never built to withstand. Have you ever seen dust try to compete with a mountain? That's what happens when the presence of a chosen one walks into a space where manipulation once reigned. It's not your hands they fear, it's your energy. It's not your words, it's your stillness. And it's not your retaliation, it's your refusal to kneel. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't match their chaos, but they unraveled anyway. Why? Because your calm held a mirror to their noise. Your restraint revealed just how desperate they were for control, and now they're crumbling in rooms you no longer enter. That's the power of being chosen. Your existence alone becomes their consequence. They threw shade, hoping to dim you, but you weren't powered by their approval, and that's what broke them. See, when your strength doesn't rely on being liked, you become ungovernable. And when you're ungovernable, you terrify the ones who depend on control to feel powerful. Let them whisper, let them circle, let them craft stories in shadows. You don't even have to respond. Because when you're operating from a place they can't access, they become their own downfall. The wind doesn't argue with leaves, and a throne never debates with peasants. It just sits, and it reigns. So stand tall. Stop wondering if you're too much. Start realizing that they were never enough to handle you. The moment you stopped doubting your worth, the collapse began. Not yours, but theirs. And now, you're the moment they fear repeating. You didn't seek war, but you ended one. Not through violence, not through rage, but through evolution. You outgrew their lies. You detached from their games. And you made peace your weapon. That silence, that glow-up, that clarity, that was the karma they weren't ready for. And here's the twist. Everything they threw at you, hoping it would break you, only refined you. Every plot was a promotion, every betrayal a redirection. They were crafting your legacy without realizing it. How ironic is that? So let this be your signal. If you're feeling that pull, if you sense the tension before you speak, if you walk into rooms and watch the energy shift, You're not imagining it. You were never meant to blend in. You were designed to disturb what isn't aligned. You carry the kind of truth that makes illusions panic. They called it arrogance, but it was awareness. They labeled it distance, but it was discernment. And now, as they scramble to rewrite the story, you're walking into a future they'll never be part of. Not because you excluded them, but because they were never equipped to survive where you're headed. Now let's keep going, deeper into the unraveling of everything they tried to build on your downfall. You're not done. You've just started. Number 2, stop explaining yourself to noise. Your silence cuts deeper than any comeback. Every time you tried to explain yourself, you gave noise a name and chaos a stage. But not anymore. Now, you've learned the power of staying silent in a world addicted to attention. And that silence, your new weapon, cuts deeper than any insult they could ever throw. They wanted your reaction like oxygen. They needed you to justify, to defend, to break formation. But chosen ones don't explain themselves to echoes. You're not here to convince the crowd. You're here to command the atmosphere. Understand this. The more you explain, the more you give them permission to distort your truth. You speak and they twist. You clarify and they use it against you. That's not communication. That's a setup. And the only way to win is to starve the noise completely. You've become too rare to argue and too powerful to plead, because the moment you go silent, the script flips. They start guessing. They start panicking. They start realizing that their influence was an illusion. You were the source of their energy all along. Chosen one, your presence carries more weight than their whole campaign against you. You don't owe them your words. Let your growth be your response. Let your elevation be your echo. They expect noise. Give them nothing but distance. Think about this. A lion never explains why it hunts. A flame never apologizes for burning. And you were never meant to shrink into the noise. You were built to rise in stillness. Your silence isn't absence. It's dominance. And that's why they fear it. The loudest people in the room often carry the weakest truth. But when you walk in with composure and conviction, everything quiets. That's real power. That's the kind of authority that can't be taught or taken. So let them talk. Let them spin their stories. While they waste breath trying to paint your picture, you're already miles ahead, building an empire out of everything they thought would break you. Remember this: silence doesn't mean surrender. It means you've outgrown the level where noise used to matter, and that's the part they'll never recover from. Number 3, don't waste a step on their games. The higher you climb, the louder they panic. Every move you make toward your purpose rattles the ones who hoped you'd stay lost. You were never part of their little game. You were the glitch in their system, and now that you're rising, they're spiraling. The moment you stopped chasing apologies, they started chasing your silence. The second you took your energy back, they started suffocating in their own drama. That's the thing about elevation. It doesn't require announcement, but it does expose who was only comfortable when you were beneath them. You've outgrown their reach, and they feel it. That panic you're sensing in their sudden obsession, that's fear in disguise. They see you becoming what they prayed you'd never be, untouchable. And when you're untouchable, you become unforgettable. Not because you shouted, but because you vanished. And your absence started burning louder than your presence ever did. Don't look back to see if they're watching. They are. Don't pause to explain your moves. They couldn't understand your blueprint if you handed it to them. You're not part of their timeline anymore. You're beyond the pettiness, the traps, the prove-yourself games. Every step you take is proof, not to them, but to yourself, that you were never meant to crawl in circles. You were born to ascend without permission. And here's the twist. While they spent their time playing mind games, you were mastering silence. While they tried to weaponize gossip, you were sharpening purpose. Now they're stuck in the same spot, replaying the same tired tricks. And you're light years ahead, unreachable, unreadable, and too aligned to be provoked. Chosen ones, don't lose sleep over pawns. You were made for the throne. Let them panic, let them spiral, let them choke on the silence you left behind, because the higher you climb, the clearer it becomes. Not everyone can breathe where you're going. Number 4. Protect your aura like gold. They're not jealous of what you do, but what you carry. Chosen one, they're not studying your moves because they admire your hustle. They're obsessed with your energy because they can't recreate it. You carry something rare, something that can't be faked, borrowed, or mimicked. And that's exactly what keeps them lurking in the background, trying to unravel what they'll never be able to hold. You walk into the room and suddenly the air feels different, not because you said anything, but because your aura enters before you do. You carry peace in the middle of chaos. You carry vision where others only see confusion. That's the threat. It's not what you achieve, it's what you are. They don't envy your work ethic, they envy the way the universe bends to support your mission. They envy how, no matter how much they plot, something always seems to lift you when they hope you fall. But what they don't realize is, your aura wasn't given to impress, it was given to protect. And now, the same energy they're trying to drain is the very energy that's exposing them. Protect your aura like it's currency, because it is, and they're broke. Spiritually, emotionally, energetically. That's why they attach themselves to you like leeches. But here's the truth. Every time you let a bitter soul too close, you risk diluting your power. And a diluted aura is like watered-down fire. No warmth, no light, no movement. So guard it, lock it down, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Because what you carry is not for everyone. And what you carry, it's what they'll never understand. They want the glow without the growth. They want your shine, but not your scars. They crave your strength, but fear your stillness. And so they study you, obsessively, hoping to figure out the formula. But chosen one, there is no formula. You are the formula. They weren't sent to admire you. They were sent to test how well you protect what was built inside of you. And karma? It's already rearranging their lives because they crossed a boundary meant to be honored, not touched. Let them watch, let them wonder, but never let them in. You are the vault, and your aura is the gold. Number 5. Don't confuse hate for power. They're just scared of what you remind them they'll never be. They don't hate you because of what you did. They hate you because of what you didn't need from them. You didn't chase their approval. You didn't ask for permission. You rose effortlessly. And that kind of power, it exposes every weakness they've tried to hide behind fake confidence and loud opinions. Hate is not a show of strength. It's a symptom of fear, and the louder it gets, the more it reveals what they lack. Your presence reminds them of every choice they didn't make, every risk they never took, and every version of themselves they'll never become. You don't need to respond to their hatred. You've already won by existing as proof of what they could never master. They'll say you changed. They'll say you switched up. But what really happened is simple. You outgrew the role they needed you to play to feel superior. You stopped being easy to manipulate. You stopped being small so they could feel big. And now, their only defense is to hate what they no longer control. Let them hate, let them plot, let them whisper your name in every room they'll never be invited to again. That's the cost of witnessing power you can't copy. You didn't steal their light. You just stopped dimming yours. Chosen one, their fear isn't of what you'll do. It's of what you already are. They see your strength and remember their own failure. That's the real reason they watch you so closely, because deep down they know you're not what they wanted to become. You're what they couldn't. So stay focused, stay silent. Let karma speak where you never need to, because what they feel now, that tension, that panic, that shame, it's not because you harmed them. It's because you reminded them of what they'll never have the courage to be. Let that sink in, and then keep walking. Number 6. Let karma handle what you're too powerful to touch. Success is louder than revenge. There are things beneath you now, not because you're arrogant, but because you've elevated. When you're chosen, there comes a point where retaliation feels like a downgrade. What do you gain by throwing stones at shadows? Nothing. And the truth is, karma's already circling overhead, sharper and more precise than anything you could ever deliver. They plotted, they whispered, they poked every bruise just to see if you'd break. But you didn't. You evolved. And in doing so, you put yourself out of reach. That's the part they didn't expect. They thought you'd bite back, but you built back, and that made you untouchable. While they waste their breath crafting stories, you've been crafting futures. While they talk, you walk. Higher, further, freer. And now they're left choking on their own bitterness, watching the very person they tried to bury break ceilings they'll never reach. The truth? Revenge is loud, but success is louder, and it echoes in places they'll never stand. Let them keep their drama, you've got destiny. Let them wrestle with their own demons, you've outgrown that arena. You see, when you're chosen, your silence becomes a sentence, your elevation becomes evidence, and karma, it steps in when you step back. They wanted you to engage, to lose your cool, to prove their version of you right, but you gave them nothing, and that nothing has become everything. The emptiness they now feel, that's the absence of control, and it haunts them. You didn't have to get revenge. You became the reminder, a walking consequence, a glowing example of what happens when a chosen one refuses to bow. Let that silence speak. Let your glow be the headline. Because in the end, karma is never late. It just moves in silence too. And right now, it's working on your behalf. So rise, keep shining, keep building. Let karma finish what your power was too evolved to waste time on. Number 7. Silence isn't weakness. It's the trap they never see coming until it's too late. They assumed your silence meant surrender, that when you didn't respond you were scared, that when you walked away you were weak. But what they never realized is that silence is the calm before the strike. A real threat doesn't make announcements. It watches, it waits, and then it ends everything without needing a crowd. Your silence wasn't fear. It was calculation, it was strategy, it was power moving without permission. And while they kept trying to provoke you, thinking they still had influence, you were building something they'll never be able to recover from. Your full transformation. See, people addicted to drama expect you to fight back. They want the yelling, the breakdown, the reaction, because it gives them the illusion that they still matter. But when you give them nothing, that's when panic hits. Because silence forces them to sit with what they've done. No one to blame, no one to manipulate, just them. Facing the truth that they no longer have a seat at your table. And by the time they realize what your silence really meant, it's already too late. The karma has been set, the chapter has turned, and you've elevated to a level they were never meant to touch. Only chosen ones understand this kind of restraint. Only those who've been through the fire know that silence is a storm in disguise. You didn't fold, you evolved, and now your absence is doing more damage than your words ever could. So let them wonder, let them scramble, let them tell stories to fill the silence, but remember this, when you stopped reacting, the clock started ticking on their downfall. You never needed to speak. You became the message. Number 8. Stop waiting for their validation. They lost control the second you knew who you were. The moment you stopped asking for their approval was the moment everything shifted. That was the day the game ended, not for you, but for them. Because now you're dangerous in a way they can't predict. You're no longer controlled by claps that come too late or compliments that were always laced with envy. See, validation was the leash, and they used it well, until you snapped it without saying a word. The truth is, they never loved your strength. They only tolerated your silence when it meant you still needed them. But now you've stepped into your knowing, and that knowing is terrifying. Because the most unshakable person in the room is the one who no longer needs to be understood. Why do you think they're panicking? It's not because you changed. It's because you remembered. You remembered that your worth was never a vote, that your path was never meant to be seen through their limited vision. You remembered who you were before the world tried to edit you into something small, quiet, easy to digest. And now look at them, scrambling to rewrite your story because the original script no longer includes their applause. Chosen one, the need for approval is the oldest trap in the book. But you outgrew it. You walked away from the stage and became the spotlight itself. That's why they can't stand you. Because now their absence doesn't dim your light, it exposes theirs. The moment you stopped explaining your decisions, the moment you stopped giving updates, the moment you didn't care if they clapped or stayed silent, that was when you took your power back. And the irony? They never had control. You just hadn't realized it yet. So don't go back looking for their well done. You don't need it. Your reflection is proof enough. Your progress is loud enough. Your silence? It's the final word they'll never be able to answer. Keep moving, keep rising, because you're not waiting anymore, and they're not leading. You are. Number 9. Refuse to shrink for their comfort. You were never built for chains, only thrones. They never feared your silence. They feared what your silence confirmed, that you finally saw through the illusion, that you were never meant to fit into the tiny box they tried to keep you in. They wanted you easy to manage, quick to please, quiet enough to control. But the moment you refused to shrink just to soothe their fragile egos, they lost you. And worse, they lost the version of you they could manipulate. Chosen one, shrinking to make others feel secure isn't compassion, it's self-betrayal. And you've outgrown the days of pretending to be less so they could feel like more. They wanted to keep you small because your true size exposes their emptiness. When you stand tall, the shadows scatter. That's why they pushed, prodded, and played mind games, because the throne you carry without even trying made their masks crack. You weren't built for chains. You were sculpted for dominion. Your mind, your energy, your vision, it was never ordinary. That's why they mocked what they couldn't understand. That's why they twisted your confidence into arrogance. But here's the truth they'll never say out loud. They studied you to find weakness and only found a storm they couldn't stop. The same people who said you were too much now obsess over how you keep rising without their validation. That's not ego, that's freedom. They never had you, they only had the version of you that was still questioning herself. But now that you're walking in your truth, now that you've stopped making yourself smaller just to fit into their limited reality, it's over for them. You are not responsible for how your greatness makes them feel. Your evolution isn't an apology. and your purpose is not up for negotiation. Refusing to shrink was the most powerful move you ever made, because the moment you stopped asking for space, the universe made room. So let them watch, let them whisper, let them invent stories to explain why their grip slipped. You didn't betray anyone by choosing your throne. You simply remembered who you were before they told you to forget. You don't owe them comfort. You owe yourself the crown. Number 10. Don't apologize for your shine. Your light forces them to face the darkness they deny. They tried to dim you not because you were too bright, but because your light made their shadows impossible to hide. Your presence is a spotlight, chosen one, and every time you step into your power, people who built themselves on lies get exposed. You never had to say a word, you never had to point fingers. Your aura does the talking, and what it says burns through the masks they wear. They're not bothered by what you do, they're haunted by who you are, because to see you shine is to remember every part of themselves they abandoned. You didn't try to hurt anyone, you just refused to shrink. And that refusal, that's what rattled them. You don't owe the world an apology for rising. You don't owe the room an explanation for your glow. If your truth shakes their fantasy, let it shake. That's not your guilt to carry. That's the universe balancing itself out. The more you step into your light, the more they panic in their own darkness. They see you standing firm, not bitter, not broken, and it forces them to admit they're still running from the truth. You've become the reflection they can't control. That's why they lash out, gossip, or disappear when you enter the scene. You're not just shining, you're revealing. So no, chosen one, you don't apologize for the fire inside you. You don't hide it to make others feel warm in their illusions. Let them sweat, let them flinch, let them lie to themselves while the truth eats them from within. You're not responsible for the way your strength exposes their weakness. You were never sent here to make anyone comfortable. You were sent here to illuminate what's real, even if that light blinds the pretenders. Karma isn't coming, karma is already working, and the more you become who you are, the more they collapse under the weight of what they refuse to become. Keep shining, chosen one. You are the end of the illusion. Number 11. Stop engaging in battles you've already won. Let their insecurity fight itself.
They want a reaction from you, not because you've done something wrong, but because your silence screams louder than any argument they could win. That's why they keep poking, keep provoking, hoping you'll descend into their chaos. But you, chosen one, were never meant to wrestle with shadows. You were meant to stand above them and watch them burn themselves out. Every time you respond, you water a weed that was never supposed to grow. Every time you explain yourself, you feed an illusion that you owe them anything. You don't. The battle ended the moment you realized you were never truly in it. It was always them, fighting their own doubts, their own reflection, their own insignificance. You don't have to clap back. You don't have to prove a thing. Let their insecurity implode while you rise like untouched smoke from a fire you never started. They can't win against someone who refuses to show up to a war built on desperation and projection. And that's the part they never prepared for, your disengagement. They called you weak for not responding, but now they're breaking under their own lies while you're elevating in peace. Let them accuse, let them twist, let them scream into the void they created, because, chosen one, your stillness is their echo chamber, and it haunts them more than any confrontation ever could. Stop turning around to address noise that was never meant to guide you. Your direction is forward, and only the lost shout at those already walking in their purpose. Why argue with echoes when your future is calling? What if I told you that letting go is the most violent move you could make? Not with fists, not with rage, but with absolute indifference. That's when they truly feel the loss, not of your presence, but of the control they thought they had. So move like you've already won, because you have. And the deeper they sink trying to drag you down, the higher you'll rise, untouched. Let them battle their own reflection. You were never meant to break a sweat, proving what your elevation already screams. Number 12, the smartest move, starve their drama, no reaction, no power, just peace. You want to truly dismantle your enemies? Don't raise your voice. Don't explain. Don't engage. Just vanish from their battlefield. The smartest move a chosen one can make is to pull the plug on the energy supply they're feeding from you. They want your anger because it validates them. They crave your reaction because it gives their petty schemes oxygen. But when you respond with silence, with stillness, you turn off the entire power grid they were using to attack you. And just like that, they fall into the darkness they created for you. That's the brilliance of being chosen. You don't have to clap back. You don't have to stoop low to fight with what's beneath you. You starve it. And without your energy, their fire burns out fast. Because drama can't survive in peace. Manipulation can't thrive in clarity. And a storm can't touch you when you become the eye of it. Your silence is not weakness, it's the weapon they never prepared for. They built traps hoping you'd step in, but you walked right past them without blinking. That's when fear hits hardest, when they can't even provoke you anymore. And now they're spiraling. Because when you stop feeding the chaos, you force it to turn on itself. Their whispers become echoes. Their schemes collapse without fuel. And your absence speaks louder than any defense ever could. Let them talk, let them watch, but don't give them a single ounce of your peace, because the one who doesn't react is always the one in control. So stay still, chosen one. Let them crumble under the weight of their own noise. They tried to make you chase the fire, but now you are the silence that scorches. And there is no coming back from that. And as we close this chapter, remember this: not every battle requires your presence. Some are won by simply not showing up. Your silence is not surrender, it's strategy. The moment you stopped reacting, you started rising. Let your peace do the talking. Let your elevation be the retaliation. If this message struck a nerve, it's because you're not just hearing it, you're living it. So don't stop now. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop 999 in the comments if you're choosing peace over chaos from this moment forward. The rise of the chosen is just beginning.